Welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're back in the seat and we're back talking about Wrexham Football Club. Today I'm going to be bringing back the Wrexham Roundup. We're going to be talking about everything that's happened at the football club over the past week. We've of course had that draw on the Friday night yesterday against Birmingham City, which we're going to be in-depth reviewing. We've seen a new £7.1 million investment come into the football club, which could mean a lot of things for us on and off the pitch. And we're going to just be looking overall at what's happened at the club this week. So before we get going in today's video, if you're looking for the best Wrexham content, of course, if you're looking for the best roundup at the end of every week, this is the place to be. Make sure to get down there and click the red subscribe button. Let's go for 550 likes on today's video. And I think it's only right that we first talk about that draw at home to Birmingham yesterday, because I think there's a lot of talking points that we do need to discuss. So just like last season in League One, Wrexham and Birmingham were both held to a 1-1 draw at the Racecourse ground. It was a game going into it that I thought we had a very good chance of winning, given Birmingham's start to the season. Yes, of course, they've had a better start than Wrexham, but statistics-wise, I really did think we could have hurt Birmingham City, and we did show some early signs that we could have hurt them and that we probably should have gone on to just knock them completely off their stride and got the 3 points, but it wasn't to be. It was, I think the cliche saying, it's a game of two halves, and it really was, because Wrexham, we dominated the first half, had so many chances, could have put the game to bed 2 or 3-0 up, didn't do that. We went in 1-0, and then of course the second half, I think, was Birmingham City's half. They didn't create all too many chances, but they got the goal and they sort of just controlled the rest of the game, which I think really was a bit disappointing from Wrexham's point of view, given how well we'd started the game and given sort of that first 45 from us. We looked comfortable, we looked confident going forward, creating chances, but again, we don't really know what happened. We've seen it so many times, Wrexham, where we've gone into the break with a good solid lead, a good solid performance, where we've sort of shut out the opposition, but the second half we just invite the pressure, and Birmingham City of course got their given reward just 20 seconds into the second half. So let's rewind it back a bit now and let's get talking about the first half, because I think we put a really good showing on for the 10,500 fans inside the Racecourse ground on what was a very cold and windy Friday night. We sort of had a lot of expectations going into this game. Of course, it was a blockbuster, 2 fixtures last season in League One, the 2 teams that got automatically promoted to the Championship, so we were expecting big things. The weather, of course, beforehand was rainy, it was windy. We could see that at times in the first half when I think it was Patrick Roberts for Birmingham City went to play a diagonal ball and he sort of just went in the air and just stayed in the air for a long time. So the weather conditions were always going to have a big part of the game, and I think Wrexham in the first 45 looked very comfortable. We looked very confident, of course, coming off that good point away at Leicester City, but it was a promising start that was well rewarded with us taking the lead through George Dobson's first ever goal in the EFL Championship. A corner swung into the box, Cleworth headed it on, and Dobson was in the right place at the right time to head it home from, I'd probably say 3 or 4 yards out. So it's good to have him obviously getting on the score sheet, because he's thoroughly deserved it. Over the course of the Championship season, he started off really well, and I think his consistency across the board in the Championship so far this season, I think he's played most games in all competitions. If I'm right in saying, I think he's featured in every game we've played in all competitions in the Championship and in the Carabao Cup, and his consistency in the midfield has just been so deserved, of course, of a goal, and for starting week in, week out. He's made a real statement to Phil Parkinson. Of course, we've seen a lot of midfielders come into the building, but it's our League One signing, one of the first we made in the League One transfer window last summer, that has made a real name for himself in the starting 11, has probably become one of the first names on the team sheet, because his sort of just passing ability, his ability to break up the play in midfield, his just ability as well to keep the structure, I think is something that we really benefit off. I don't know what he's done over pre-season, I don't know what he's been up to in the summer, but his performances from League One to the Championship, I'm not saying this in a way that Dobson, I thought last season in League One was poor. I thought there were times where he did sort of look not out of his depth, but didn't really look comfortable in that midfield, and I think there were times where he was dropped, but now you look at his performances, he looks like a player that's played in the Championship for a good 5-6 seasons, so you've got to give him a pat on the back, because his start to the season has been really good, and I'm glad he's been rewarded with a goal. Going into this game, we knew all about Birmingham City from set pieces and especially from corners. They are very poor from defending set pieces. We've seen it so many times in the Championship this season, their inability to defend corners with sort of confidence and with ease. We've seen multiple goals come in from corners, in from set pieces, and I think Wrexham could have punished them beforehand, of course, with that sort of corner kick routine. I don't know who played it, I think it was Windass played it onto the edge of the box to O'Brien. I do think it was sort of in the plan for O'Brien to maybe put it in the box or have a shot, because I don't think his first touch was all that great, but he laid it off to Sheaf. Beadle made a decent-ish save. I think he could have caught it, but that sort of gave us a bit of confidence and thought, we can unlock this weakness that Birmingham City do have, which is from set pieces. And then minutes later, ball into the box, Dobson, right place at the right time. And I'm glad we sort of made a punishment to Birmingham City, because that was an area that was a real weakness for them going into this fixture. And if we're looking from a Birmingham City point of view, if they're going to want to be up there come the end of the season, we're talking probably playoffs now, given their sort of poorish start to the season, they're going to massively need to improve on this weakness, which is defending set pieces, because they're getting punished most times when corners are coming into the box. But apart from that, I think we could have maybe had another goal from a set piece, like I said with Ben Sheaf, but I'm glad we did punish them, because it was a weakness that I'm sure Parkin, the whole staff would have noted. As well, if we're looking just minutes later after we scored that opener through George Dobson, it should have been 2-0. Like I said, minutes later, probably less than 2 minutes, Lewis O'Brien had one of the best chances you will ever get. It was on a plate for him, and don't get me wrong, Lewis O'Brien, he's been fantastic so far this season. I think he's in the top 5 performing midfielders in the Championship for statistics and average ratings. But you're looking at this, no matter who you are across the pitch, whether you're a striker, whether you're a centre-back, you should be putting these chances away. And anywhere else but in that short sort of area where the goalkeeper was, it would have gone in the back of the net. Again, the corners, you're looking at that. Could O'Brien maybe have put it in the top corners? Could he have put it just in the bottom corners as well? Anywhere but straight down the goalkeeper's throat. But again, that sort of seemed to be one of our last big chances of the game. And ever since then, we invited the pressure to Birmingham City. Demarai Gray had a couple of really good chances in the first half. We'll get talking about him in the second half as well. But yeah, it was slightly disappointing, because I don't know how the game would have gone if O'Brien's chance would have gone in. If that's 2-0, would we have seen a similar story to the second half? Would Phil Parkinson have said maybe just be a bit more cautious going forward and sort of play more defensively? And we've seen that so many times so far this season for Wrexham. We get that goal, we take the lead in the game. I don't think there's been many opportunities that's happened, but say if we've got a draw, for example, there's been a couple of times where we've sat back, especially in the second half, and invited pressure. And if we're keeping on the first half especially, do not get me started on the referee, Bobby Madley. He's had some sort of scandal a couple of years ago. I can't remember what it was, but he's been out of the game for a while. He's come back in, and he's just not fit to referee a Championship game. He wouldn't look out of place in the National League. That was how poor he was. Just some of the inconsistency in terms of decisions that he did make. For Birmingham City, we should have had a really clear-cut foul, and then they go up the opposite end of the pitch. Demarai Gray gets a slight hand, I'd say to the chest or the throat area, goes down holding his face, doesn't even go down, just goes down on one knee, and then the referee gives a foul. It's just, you want consistency from referees, and I think so far in the Championship the consistency has been really good. But if you're looking at Bobby Madley, if there's a higher up person in the Referees Association watching that, he should be nowhere near the Championship again. And if we're looking on the second half now, it was as bad as starts for a second half as it gets in football. A very poor goal to concede, and a very easy goal to concede in Wrexham standards defensively. Patrick Roberts obviously made that run in the blind side of the defence. Dom Hyam sort of drops slightly forward to obviously intercept the ball that was going through, but obviously isn't aware of Patrick Roberts making that run. Callum Doyle as well, I don't know if he saw him, but you could say it's a clever run, you could say it's poor defending. I think it's a mixture of both, but again, you shouldn't be conceding a goal 19 seconds into whatever half you're playing, especially when you have kick-off. It's very poor, and I think Phil Parkinson has said that it was a poor goal to concede, and it sort of knocked any momentum and sort of knocked Wrexham's momentum in the second half, because if you're dealt with a really early blow like that, it's going to take you a bit of time to get back on track, and I don't think we really did get back to the team that we saw in the first half in comparison to the second half. And I thought we had to really build on that performance going into the second half, because you have such a promising first half that you're going to look at Birmingham, they were going to tweak a couple of things, they were going to come out a better side than what they had done in the first half. But in terms of confidence, in terms of looking at them going forward, we had multiple chances in the first half. You thought Wrexham from a point of view would have been licking our lips and thinking we can get 2 or 3 in the second half, because they were vulnerable defensively, Birmingham City, but we didn't really see that at all. I think the only chance I can remember is Kiefer Moore at the back post, just blazing that one over the crossbar. If that would have gone in, we might have won the game of football. But you can only look at the present now. It's in the past. It's it's a frustrating game, because you're looking at beforehand, you'd have taken a point, you'd have more than taken a point at home to Birmingham City, but at full time we should have got 3 points. But again, it's not the end of the world. It's a point on the board, but it's a game that we should have won. I think as well, tactically, Birmingham City were not very good. I don't think they were the best of teams that we've seen come to the racecourse this season. I think we've seen a lot better teams come to us, and their style of play, it was in the first half especially very hard to watch. I think they lacked creativity going forward. It was just a lot of get the ball in the midfield, not looking up and just playing it back defensively. I don't think they were a very good team at all. Don't get me wrong, they'll probably be coming out of this game thinking it's a point on the board, it's a point in the right direction, and at the end of the day, they're a very average team, and we are so lucky that they were average, because if that's against any of the top teams in the Championship, inviting that much pressure, inviting them to have so much of the ball, we'd have got severely punished. And you could say that in a way, because Birmingham City, I think, only had 3 shots in the second half. No matter what, if you're playing against a team that are at the top end of the table, they'd have gone forward, they've had more confidence. It might have been a confidence issue in the Birmingham camp, we really don't know, but if you're going against a top team, inviting that much pressure, they're going to get shots on goal. And with the state of Wrexham's defence that we have seen previously so far this season, there'd have probably been a couple of goals going the back of our net. I think overall there were chances in both halves for both teams. I think across the board of the game there were chances, but it was a lot of chances and nothing else, just keeping the ball. It was like a chess match at times, which we've seen so many times in the Championship. We need to get used to that, because it's not going to be like the National League days. We're not going to see 7-5 wins, 6-5 wins. It's going to be a lot of teams, not wanting to make a mistake, waiting for the opposition to sort of just make that slight adjustment and slight error, maybe at the back, maybe in midfield, for them to carve open, which is what Birmingham probably saw in that defensive display 20 seconds into the second half. But we're fortunate that Birmingham weren't very good in front of goal. I think Demai Gray as well was one of their standout players, had a couple of really good dribbles on goal, had 2 of their best chances. He should have put that one away in the first half, but we're lucky. So on the whole, I think it's disappointing, but you look at the week we've just had: Leicester away on Tuesday night, Birmingham at home on the Friday. It's a very quick turnaround against 2 very good teams for the Championship. So to come away from this game with 2 points against those 2 calibre of teams, I don't think is a bad return at all. I think we should be happy with the 2 points, but you're looking at this, it should have been 4 points out of 6, because I think we should have more than easily have beaten Birmingham yesterday. But again, it's not the end of the world, it's in the past now. We've got the international break, the players have time to recover, which I think is definitely needed after that quick turnaround. I do just want to point out as well, Issa Kabore as well had another fantastic game. He's just proven why he's one of the best deadline day signings we have seen in Wrexham history. I think it's just confidence going forward. He's not afraid at all to just put the burners on, make that run down the line, put the cross into the box. I think if his crossing gets better, he's going to be one of the best right backs in this division by a country mile. He's just a fantastic player, not afraid to take on his man. His confidence again is just through the roof at the minute. He's loving it, the Wrexham fans are loving him, so let's hope he can continue that form as time goes on. So moving on from that draw at home to Birmingham City, like I said, there's a lot to talk about. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you think we got 3 points? Do you think a point is a fair result? I do think a point is a fair result at the end of the day, but again, do you take a point? You disappointed we didn't get all 3? But if we're moving on to a man that could have probably got us 3 points in that game, like he did so many times in a Wrexham shirt, Stephen Fletcher. You might be thinking, why are we talking about Fletcher? He's not at the club anymore, he left us in the summer, but just 2 months on after leaving Wrexham Football Club, Stephen Fletcher, after an amazing career today, I think he's been playing the game for 15-20 years, has hung up the boots, he's called it a day, he's retired, which again is really disappointing, because I think he still could have been a useful asset for any League One side. But again, you have to think that the time is right to retire, and Stephen Fletcher has obviously thought that way. But the Scotsman, he's had such a brilliant career, one of the best super subs we will see in Wrexham history. I don't think anytime soon we're going to see a player have so much of an impact in the last 20 minutes of games, and I think it's only right to play some of the best moments I caught on camera. I don't think there were many, because obviously the vlog stopped in October. It's 2 years to date since we've had no vlogs, but one of my favourite goals I've ever captured on camera will be playing now at home to Crewe Alexandra, because what a man he is and what an impact he had in a short amount of time he was on the pitch.
Go on!
So speaking next on the final topic, we're going to be talking about the £7.1 million share that Wrexham Football Club have received. Wrexham have received a £7.1 million investment after issuing one share. What the investment will be specifically used for is currently unknown, but in my opinion, in my head when I first saw this, there were a couple of ideas that jumped into mind, and looking on social media, everyone sort of seems to have the same ideas as to what this share will be used for. It's a very smart move from Rob and Ryan, which we're going to be talking about now in many different ways, because the £7.1 million investment represents just one share, so they've been able to get significant funding in without impacting shareholders' value into the club and shareholders' capital. The share has next to no impact on R.R. Reynolds Limited's stake in the football club, but also helps operations and growth of the club on and off the pitch. So it's a very strategical move from Rob and Ryan and everyone behind the scenes that has got this investment through the door. Who this investment is from, we don't know at the minute, whether it's from the Allen family, whether it's from a potential new investor into Wrexham Football Club, we really don't know. But the idea is, if we're looking at this £7.1 million share, it's probably going to likely be towards maybe player wages, possibly looking ahead even further to the January transfer window, which again might be a stretch. But if you're looking more realistically, it could be again towards the stadium developments, specifically the COP. Of course, we've got the paperwork to get that done. We've had the green light. So again, on that front, we really don't know. But I saw someone else say on Facebook, I think it was, someone said one share of £7.1 million is only 0.0000022% of shares, which is just ridiculous. If you put that into perspective, it is so mind-boggling. I think it does just put into perspective the value of Wrexham Football Club and makes you question how much is this empire of this team in North Wales really worth. It just further highlights the club's value and how much, you know, sort of the club is valued now and how much Rob and Ryan have grown us over the years. I think the last time I looked on, you know, the pricing of Wrexham Football Club, I think it was $475 million. Whether that's gone higher now the promotion to the Championship has happened, or we really don't know. But again, to put that into perspective, that one share of £7.1 million is only 0.00022% of shares in Wrexham Football Club. I cannot compute that at all. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Let me know, of course, your thoughts on the Birmingham City game. We've sort of got a 1.5-2 week break now, so again, no football for Wrexham. It seems like there's so many international breaks recently, which is annoying, but I think the players that have a well-deserved rest. We've seen a change of fortune over the past couple of weeks. We're starting to get consistent performances. We're starting to get points on the board. Leaky defence has sort of been sorted out by Phil Parkinson, which is really, really good. I think Dom Heim coming in for Cody has had an impact on that. Kabore starting at right wing back. Longman again, I think, is the unsung hero so far for Wrexham. I think he's had a really good start to the season. So there's plenty of positives to take over the past couple of weeks for Wrexham Football Club, and it looks like it's only going to get better. We're sort of finding our ground a bit. Of course, a lot of you at home might be thinking, you know, I've been ranting and rambling on, getting worried. I wasn't worried, I was just disappointed at the start of the season we had. I wasn't disappointed in Parky, I wasn't disappointed in the players, I was disappointed in the way in which Wrexham would go 1 up, 2 up, and then just completely blow the lead. I think the game management has got so much better in the player development. Again, as players have developed into the Championship, they sort of got a real taste for it now, and let's hope we can go from strength to strength as time goes on this season, because we're coming into a very busy period between sort of October and Christmas. There's going to be a lot of games, a lot of big games for Wrexham, so it's important that we get points on the board. So if you did enjoy, like I said, make sure to drop a like. 550 likes on today's video is the like target. Make sure to subscribe as well. We're on the road to 29,000 subscribers. If you did enjoy, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you in another video. Take care, guys. Up the Championship Reds.